Thanks, everyone, for joining the second breakout session after Connections, our partner event of the year. This session is focused on scaling your cloud migration opportunities, focusing on partners who are helping customers either migrate to the cloud or just have customers that are interested in migrating to the cloud and how Trend Micro can fit into that narrative. My name's Jake Jevitz, and I'm our Cloud Builder Partnerships person over here at Trend Micro. And I'm joined here today by my partner, Zach Milam, who is the manager of cloud architecture. So thanks everyone for joining us. We're super excited. Leading into this call here today, I actually made a couple of phone calls to some of our partners just to ask them what they wanted to learn, what they wanted to know in regards to cloud migrations and the relationship that Trend and the partner can play in that journey. And one of the key kind of resounding takeaways that I heard was really just understanding how partners can grow their revenue through a relationship with Trend Micro and the cloud. So we'll jump in now. A couple of the areas that we plan to discuss today, right? So we wanted to talk about the evolution of the channel. We recognize that the folks on this call here today are in different areas of their journey. Everyone's at a different maturity and everyone's coming from a different background. We have folks that are coming from a value-added reseller perspective. We have consulting partners and strategic partners. We've got smaller MSPs. We've got large MSPs, GSIs, a whole slew of different partners. And so we wanted to just share with you all kind of the overarching state of the channel today and the direction that we see it moving here at Trend. We also wanted to talk about the partner cloud migration programs that we have in place today that you can take advantage of and the service options for partners that are interested in those programs. Additionally, we'll talk about AWS co-selling and the relationship that we hold with AWS and how we can help connect dots for partners to have successful co-selling motions between the power of three, the partner, Trend Micro, and AWS. I have Zach here to talk about Cloud One and our cybersecurity platform in the cloud and how that plays into a cloud migration for our customers and for our partners. And then we'll share a little bit about the partner co-selling roadmap. So before I get started and jump in here, I did want to let everyone know, feel free to drop questions in the chat if you have any questions. We'll also have some time, hopefully at the end of the conversation, to go through some Q&A. But like I said, feel free to drop things in the chat if there's things you would prefer further elaboration on, or if you wanted to sidecar a conversation. So let's talk about the channel and kind of where we're at today. A comparison that I often make to partners and people in the industry, customers as well, is that when you look at the channel, I actually draw a pretty clear correlation from the channel to the state and the evolution of telephones, right? So when you look at the history of phones in the last 15 or so years, I don't know how many people on this call will actually recognize what's over here on the left of the screen, but that's the original telephone. And when phones came out, originally their only purpose was really for communication, right? And we've obviously seen that advance and change and everything like that. But when you look at it from a channel perspective, we look at historically the channel was a solution for reselling, referring. There was a lot of industry knowledge, know-how. Customers would come to the channel and say, hey, connect us with the best cybersecurity software company that you have or hardware company that you have. Hey, what's your recommendation based off of where I'm at in the industry and what I need to do? What do I need to do to stay relevant? What are my peers doing, right? And all of that still stays true, but similar to communication, things are starting to evolve. So when you look at the phone now, right, it's no longer just a handset in your house. It's in your ears, it's on your watch, it's in your pocket, it's on a tablet. It's so many different things. It's become communication and entertainment and collaboration and a place to connect. And when you look at the channel and the direction that it's going, ultimately things will still stay the same, right? We still want to encourage our channel partners to continue reselling and referring customers and being a source of centralized knowledge and industry know-how to our customers. But there's this whole new slew of opportunity. Customers are saying, hey, we don't have the expertise in-house to run our technology and maintain our technology and make technical decisions and do all of these different things and wear all these different hats. And so they're looking at the channel as a way to augment a lot of that work. And really that augmentation comes in the form of professional services, managed services, consulting, things like that, right? They're looking for us to come in and say, hey, we can help you achieve an outcome. And that's really where Trend and many of our partners are fitting today. And regardless of where you're at in your level of partnership, if you're traditionally reselling or if you're interested in some of these next generation ideas, we'll share with you some plays and some different ways that you can work with us and that we can help accelerate those services. Because that's what the market is asking for. They're no longer saying, hey, reseller, just resell to me. Hey, ISV or software company, just provide me the technology. Hey, Mr. MSP, managed service provider, maintain that technology. They're looking for more of a cohesive story. And so that's what we plan to talk about today is when you look at cloud migrations, how can our partners, Trend and AWS, all work together to continue this co-selling motion? So what does the new mode of business look like, right? What are some of the models that we're following outside of the traditional old telephone model, right? So, we still are going to hold on to the resell and basic services that many of our partners are relying on and have built their business on. But on top of that, we're also building new areas of business. So we'll talk in more detail today about many of this, but first and foremost, we're looking at organizations that have sold for years, resold for years, and now we're starting to look at cloud marketplaces, right? So how can we make it easier for our customers to procure our products and services in marketplace? We also have found a new model of consuming as a customer for our partners where they're buying our technology and then providing a managed service built around that technology to their customers and then just downstreaming that cost to their customers. We're also building out new services with our partners with security built in. So if they're doing a 0 to 30-day cloud migration, they're actually telling their customers, hey, you're going to be secure through this process because we have Trend Micro's Cloud One platform built in, and it's going to ensure that you're as risk adverse as possible. Another thing that many of our partners have come to us and told us is, hey, we need you to integrate with other products that we're selling. There's a better story to be told here than just, hey, Trend Micro is a great security product. So can you create API integrations to talk to and work with other organizations like New Relic or PagerDuty? And we're making that happen. And then the last two here, we've created custom bundles with our partners and with other ISVs to create more of that outcome-based approach to selling as opposed to just product-focused. And then, like I said, lastly here, referrals are still a huge piece of our business. So diving a little bit deeper into what that actually looks like and what these programs actually are. So many of our channel partners today are either driving home professional and consulting services, or they're starting to build that area out. One of the easiest entry points that we've seen is working with partners on well-architected review assessments. So using our cloud conformity tool to actually accelerate that assessment, create a mapping against the framework and provide reporting to their customers. And we're seeing those in different ways, right? We're seeing the customer or the partner resell to the customer. We're also seeing the partner purchase that license and then downstream it to the customer. And then we're just creating bundles and marketplace and things like that. So a couple of the areas that we've seen a lot of success, the well-architected review program, managed services in the cloud. So as customers are telling their partners, hey, we need someone to manage our tech stack, or we need you to manage our cloud environment, using Trend Micro's technology as the guardrails and security tooling to maintain a low risk score and maintain the risk register there. We're also creating go-to-market programs where we're able to market well-architected reviews, migration accelerations, and continue driving home the end goal to the customer, which is to migrate to the cloud in a secure and responsible way. So in order to do that, we're working with AWS on a day-to-day basis. We're creating immersion days that are co-branded between partners, Trend, and AWS to really hit home and kind of dive into the overarching technical aspects of how we can help them through their journey to the cloud. and so on and so forth. As far as service options go for many of our cloud builder partners and some of our next generation partners, I talked about the discovery and assessment services. These are the well-architected reviews, but they're also, let's do a storage assessment. Let's do a compliance-based service or a governance assessment for our customers using Trend Micro's technology. So here's a couple of different ways that we've been doing this. We've used Cloud One conformity in order to be a foot in the door for our partners to do a time and place kind of 0 to 30 day risk assessment in the cloud, which then leads into remediation services, creating more service dollars for our partners, and then potentially getting a kickback from AWS, Azure, GCP in terms of a kickback for the services completed. Another area that we've seen a lot of success is through managed services. So bundling Cloud One with different ISVs, like I mentioned earlier, New Relic, PagerDuty, to provide not just security, but a holistic viewpoint and a holistic service for our customers. And then lastly here, we're also open to working with partners to create their own bundles. If there is a service that you're specializing in, if you're really, really strong in cloud native application development, we can correlate the right technologies for you to actually accelerate that program and give your customers a better sense of security through your services. So building on a lot of that, I talked about our relationship with AWS. We hold our relationship with AWS here at Trend really near and dear. We have a huge team that's dedicated directly to AWS to support their field sellers and their leaders of leaders internal to their organization. There's a reason why Trend Micro won Marketplace Partner of the Year globally across all other ISVs, and that's because of our relationship with AWS and the fact that we're putting our foot forward when it comes to Marketplace. But what's really important for you all to understand on this call is that we're not looking at Marketplace as a different route to licensing and procurement. We want to include our partners in that. So if any partner on this call is feeling unsure of Marketplace or like they need to understand a little bit more about how it works, Trend would be a great resource for you. My team would be a great resource for you to continue learning and to get you enrolled in a program like Marketplace. I mentioned we're one of their top security partners. We're also one of their launch partners, which means we're involved in the rollout of several of their different services, and we collaborate them on a day-to-day basis. Being a strategic ISV partner with AWS means that we're actually on their advisory board and we're helping them make strategic decisions as a business. One of my favorite things about the relationship with AWS thus far is that with Trend Micro, our Cloud One platform being built on AWS, what that means for our customers is that they're actually burning down their EDP when they purchase Cloud One. And so that means that AWS sellers are highly incentivized to work with us because every customer that buys Cloud One is actually going to become a higher spend customer and a higher consuming customer for them. Because of that, we've been able to create really strong synergies with the salespeople at AWS. And from a partnership perspective, we can make those connections with you and for you to go to market as the power of three, right? So there's a ton of opportunity there. And I would urge you to, if you haven't already reached out to your channel counterpart here at Trend to talk about AWS and how we can all collaborate, to please do so. So diving deeper into what Cloud One means for your customers and how that fits, I wanted Zach to talk a little bit about how we position Cloud One and the overarching Cloud One platform and what that means in the customer's migration journey there. So Zach, did you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for all the overview up to this point, Jake. And so here we're looking at, as far as the Cloud One piece goes, so we've added some services over the last few years. We've done a lot of things. With this really being focused on how do you accelerate migration, how you build some different services and revenue maybe that you haven't done before in the cloud piece from a partner perspective. At a high level, all of these are pretty self-explanatory, like workload endpoint security would go on things like EC2, but it can also go on actual laptops and do a whole breadth of protection there. Containers, application security. The file storage security would be things like S3 to be able to protect that. Our open source security is for like cloud native app development, and network security is IDS IPS at a network layer in the cloud. Conformity is our posture management tool. And what that means, and this is actually for a lot of our partners that maybe haven't done a lot in the cloud, this is one of the first places they step in as far as using our tools. This is very easy to use. It's great to do, to be able to provide security assessments, to be able to look at your customer's cloud environment. So maybe you're kind of getting parachuted in because they tried to do cloud on their own and they kind of ran into some roadblocks and some stumbling blocks, and they're not sure where to go. Maybe the person that started the migration left, and conformity can be put in place. We can look at what's going on in their environment, and we can tell them how good did they build it. And so what I mean by that is, when we're looking at it, how many attack surfaces are there that are exposed based on just how the infrastructure was configured? And we are focused on AWS. This does also work, and most of these services also work on Azure and GCP as well. So if you have customers that are multi-cloud, or you function and focus on those, we can do that too. So this does things from a compliance standpoint, being able to pull those assessments in. The really nice thing is this doesn't require any heavy lifting of your customers. It takes just a couple minutes, and we install some IAM access roles that go in for your customers inside their accounts. And it's read only. We can look at, we can see what's going on, and you can give them a really good snapshot of, hey, this is how well you built, or maybe here's the opportunities that you really need to fix. And you can write a scope of work, go in, deliver professional services to help them actually kind of spruce up what they have going on in the cloud and what's going there. File storage security, also for a lot of customers that are moving in, is a very easy entry point, because this can add on to something like an S3 bucket. And in my experience, we've had a ton of customers that maybe that might be the first place that they're really moving to cloud. They're having, they don't want to spend the money on replacing their archival storage and things like that inside their data center, but maybe they're not ready to move everything else to the cloud. So they've started to use things like S3 buckets or Azure Blob, things like that, and being able to then go in and say, okay, let's scan that. Let's make sure that what you're putting there, it hasn't been compromised, that it is safe. Maybe they have some public facing storage where they're taking uploaded files from customers, or maybe the partners and other business partners that they work with, right? Being able to look at those files before they're integrated into a business process and things like that. And we can make that very easy, very seamless. Again, it takes just a couple minutes to be able to get that installed, use it as a proof of concept to show them what they can do. Very little lifting. And then, the endpoint workload security, we have, that's where really this platform started and is kind of built out of. So this is the things that would be traditional operating systems. So as somebody maybe hasn't started even moving, they're an initial customer, and you can talk to them about, okay, well, we can go ahead and implement security while you're still in a data center, and as we start to migrate, that protection will just follow you going from the machine, whether it's physical machines or virtual machines, as you actually start to migrate them into a cloud process and migrate them over, that protection is just going to follow them. So the policies, all the protection pieces that we can do there. And that's really, part of there down there at the bottom, as far as that security success plan, like, making sure that things are in place, the ability to really modernize, and that every single one of these tool sets and stuff that's here, we're talking about an initial phase, but the long-term goal is you use it as an initial phase, you use some sort of an assessment, do some services to help them get to like a day zero point, and then help them design a strategy of going past that, so into the future. So how do we automate this so that as you build new services in the cloud, we can make sure that they're going to meet all the compliance requirements from an infrastructure perspective, or make sure that anything that's being uploaded from this point forward is also going to be secured, right? So we can look at, okay, here's what you got to up to this point, and then here's how we can help you plan for the future, and automatically scale. So as they add new workloads in, as they add new storage, as they build out new maybe regions and things like that, we can have automation to make sure that all those security places are in there. So really, we want this platform, and it's adapted from a partner standpoint to be able to do the initial assessment, help you actually facilitate remediation, and then as well actually have it as a leave behind and be able to actually put it in place to help your customers be more successful in the future and be more proactive from a security standpoint.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the overarching journey there, Zach. It's when we talk about customers wanting to discuss outcomes, and it's no longer just a tool-based approach, right? Maybe one customer is focused on endpoint or network at that point in time, but overall they're going to evolve, they're going to mature, and the growth that Cloud One as a platform allows is really huge. And when you look at it from a partner perspective, there's no longer these fragmented sell one thing and then sell another thing. It becomes, hey, you have access to the platform. How can we continue to educate you on the other areas of value? But ultimately, if you're licensing through marketplace or if you're licensing traditionally, because it's a platform, you have access to those other areas to kind of get your feet wet, and it really grows with you. So super powerful platform for our customers and for our partners there.
Well, and you make a good point there too. So that if you're extending this to your customers and you're selling through marketplace, for example, and you've extended out like the CPPO program where they're getting a private offer from you as a partner, and say they're using just a single service today, and they expand out to that later on down the road, and they add a second or a third, you're already the partner of record. And so that it becomes kind of self-service as they need to move through, and they start adding storage. They go, oh, I already have, the admin mechanisms and all those things that are there. So as they add that on, and we are seeing a lot of that, after, 3 to 6 months, most of our customers that have started with one service are expanding to 2 or 3 services, and expanding that footprint. So it's a really easy way to actually grow some of the revenue recognition and things like that, with in some cases not doing much after you've done the initial assessment, maybe remediation. But then you say, okay, hey, we recommend you doing this, and then it kind of grows, and you can see that revenue growth. And from a recurring revenue standpoint, it's great from a partner to be able to go in and do that.
Exactly. Gotta love recurring revenue, right?
Yep.
Great. So how does this? Oh, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, as I say, let's go ahead and build this out here. So, like this, wanted to give a quick overview here of some of the different areas that we see. And so these are some of the different personas. And that's one of the things that's really interesting as we look at digital transformation and we see what's happening, is that, the different players in this have very, very different agendas and what's there. And I think, probably the ones that we see the most would be the first 3. So like the CTO, what they're wanting to do. It's a lot more as far as the actual, what's the business outcome? So can we accelerate things? Can we reduce costs? How can we do this? Because we're looking at that entire overall giant picture, right? Security teams, and this is important because I know every single partner has specialties of who they talk to and who they work with, right? And so as you're looking at this, and if you want to dive into any of these, and that you talk to and you work with any of these a lot more than others, we can definitely expand these conversations, right? The 2 biggest that we see on a day-to-day basis after we've maybe met a CTO or a CISO at a conference, and they're kind of talking about their concerns and those pieces from the business area, and we get that idea. And then we usually start talking with a security team. A lot of times the security teams are conversations with maybe customers that you've had for a long time, and you're used to selling them security, and now they're taking on these cloud projects, right? And so there's a lot of stuff there where they're going, okay, the DevOps teams or the developers and all this stuff in the cloud world, they're wanting to automate, they're wanting to do all these things. And I don't know how to do that, right? And so the conversations with them are, we can help you implement tool sets that still allow your developers freedom to be able to do the innovative things that they want, be able to deliver business outcomes and do those things in the timelines that they've been challenged, but give them the guardrails, but give them the freedom to be creative and to be innovative and to help you kind of change your business and do things, right? Because a lot of times those are conversations with your customers you've had for a long time, and maybe they're going in a new direction, trying to reinvent themselves. And in helping empower the security teams to be able to have those discussions and be willing to look at and give up maybe some of the control that they're really used to having. At the same time, like when you're talking to developers, a lot of times that's, okay, the developers are going, okay, well, security slows me down. Well, if you can help them implement tool sets that allow them to work with the way that they automatically work, so things that integrate into their development pipelines, that integrate into the things like GitHub that they're used to using, and we can basically, as they're creating and they're iterating their software, saying, oh, hey, here's some vulnerabilities that you need to be aware of. Here's some concerns we have about your code. Here's where, that link that you just embedded, that actually is coming back as something malicious. You probably need to go investigate that before you actually embed that and put that in a production piece of software. But giving them that feedback directly inside their developer tools and inside their tool sets, where on the back end, we can correlate the information between what the security team and the DevOps team, so that, whoever's in the SOC, who's ever in those areas can see both sides of that, but being able to deliver those native controls in the language, if you will, that the developers or the security teams used to. So how they want to see it, how they want to consume it, even though it's delivering the same protection for the same services, but being able to kind of translate it into each of their different languages, which is super important. And then, yes, we have the application owners, the actual business units, and they're trying to figure out exactly what they need the developers and the security team to build and deliver for them. And then we're seeing more and more of the cloud center of excellence, right? And sometimes this ties in with a SOC. Sometimes this is the actual performance side of stuff. More and more compliance is being wrapped around here. All these kinds of things of how do they actually get those business lifts from what's there. But these are all areas that we're very familiar with talking, and you definitely partner with you if you get into some of these. So as you start doing a digital transformation, migration, or you want to get into this side of the business, we can definitely help you understand and learn and be able to help architect the best solutions for your customers inside those.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Zach. And folks, I know that we're about to be at time here. I think we have a minute left in the scheduled call. We started a couple minutes behind schedule. So for those who do have to jump, feel free to reach out directly to myself or to Perfect Partner at trendmicro.com if you have any questions or would like any follow-up. I'm sure most of you have Trend Micro contacts already, but like I said, we're not too hard to find. So I totally understand for those who have to jump. The last slide here before we get into next steps and Q&A. I've had partners recently ask me, Jake, the sales plays seem great. The idea of marketplace seems great. Well-architected review sounds great, but how do we make money? Where do we fit into this program, right? And so I put together this slide to educate partners on what does the actual sales motion look like. So in this example that I put together, we're talking about well-architected review, and this partner performs well-architected reviews using Cloud One conformity as that backbone to that assessment. And so the steps here in this process would be the partner first identifies a well-architected review opportunity, and that could be something that's coming from Trend. It could be something coming from the partner. It could be a lead coming over from AWS, but a well-architected partner identifies the opportunity and they kick off that assessment, right? In order to gain access to Cloud One conformity, the partner has one of two options. They can either license it themselves and downstream the cost to the customer, or they could submit a $0 CPPO to the customer, which would be a $0 consulting partner private offer to their customer for Cloud One, which would give the customer access to Cloud One conformity and all of Cloud One for a set duration of time at no charge. What we've learned in doing these $0 private offers is that about 60% of them are actually converting to an eventual purchase through Marketplace. So there's recurring revenue there, right? The customer is seeing the value through the assessment and saying, hey, I think I want to keep this, right? I think I want this technology in-house now. I'm going to purchase that. From there, Cloud One actually has some features that will actually recommend additional security tools and services as part of their well-architected review, as part of their compliance checks, and just as part of their overall risk register. Through that, we can actually insert other areas of Cloud One to continue to upsell and deepen the relationship with the customer. So there's opportunity there. For many of our partners, though, the goal is not necessarily resell. It may be further remediation services or professional services. And when we're identifying these gaps in technologies, processes, and services, there's actually need for customers to procure more remediation through the partners. And so the partners are getting paid there as well. And then ultimately the goal for many partners is, hey, we want to enroll them in our managed service offering. We want to identify additional opportunities to sell them bigger, heavier, more expensive products, right? So there's opportunity there for continued upsell. So this is just one example of how we enter a partner and client relationship and identify not just one, but 4 different opportunities to make money, not only for Trend, but also for service dollars for our partners. And with that, I believe that we're about a minute or two over time. So we will try to reach out to everyone who maybe had questions in the Q&A or in the chat after this meeting. But please continue to check out our Connections 2023 resource page for the recording of this session, other breakouts. We had one a couple of weeks ago with Wes, and we have another one coming up soon. Additionally, reach out to your channel contact here, or if you don't feel like you have one, or if you don't know who to reach out to, you can always reach out to us at perfectpartner@trendmicro.com, or follow me or add me on LinkedIn. I'll drop the link here in the chat as well. But we wanted to thank everyone so much for their time in joining us. This has been a great experience for us, and we hope that you guys were able to take away a couple of different areas that we can continue to grow our partnership with you all. So thanks so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your days. We look forward to hearing from you.